Hello everyone, my name is Ningzhong Lee. I'm a professor of accounting at University of Texas at Dallas. I want to say thank you to the conference organizer for putting together this wonderful event and for letting me share my research. My talk is based on my paper forthcoming at Management Science titled Substitution Between CSR Activities, Evidence from Hiring and Mistreating Unauthorized Workers and Pollution. This is joint work with my colleagues Yin Huang at University of Texas at Dallas and Xiaolu Zhou from Chinese University of Hong Kong. In recent years, companies have been under increasing pressure to invest in CSR or address ESG issues. They are expected to meet a wide range of stakeholder demands to offer workers fair pay, safe conditions, equitable opportunities, and so on, while minimizing environmental harms, donating to charity, and helping local communities. Against this background, we are asking an intuitive question. Is there any substitution among different CSR activities in equilibrium, or equivalently, does an exogenous increase in one CSR activity lead to a decrease in another CSR activity? For example, if firms are forced to reduce pollution, would that lead to lower investment in workplace safety? We propose a hypothesis called CSR substitution. We argue that there is likely to be such a substitution effect. This hypothesis is based on three observations. First, it's based on the popular academic view that companies invest in CSR because it helps them maximize profits. Profits go up because customers, employees, activists, and governments often prefer companies that act responsibly. Now, the second observation is that people often assess a company's overall CSR performance by considering its efforts across all CSR activities. And socially conscious stakeholders may perceive different combinations of environmental and social initiatives as equally socially responsible. A notable example is ExxonMobil. The company has been one of the highest carbon-emitting companies globally in the past decades. At the same time, it ranks among the most generous U.S. companies in terms of charitable giving, according to Yahoo Finance. Now, despite its significant environmental impact, ExxonMobil earns a decent CSR reputation. This suggests that people seem to take a holistic approach when evaluating a firm's CSR. The third observation is that CSR investments are subject to resource constraints. In CSR activities, companies have to weigh cost and benefit just as they do for any business decision. If the public and the stakeholders indeed view CSR as a package deal, companies can maintain a positive reputation while balancing efforts in different CSR areas in the most cost-effective ways. Managers will naturally prioritize areas where the external pressure is the strongest, and they try to cut CSR activities that give the lowest return on investment. To provide evidence on this idea, we examine whether and how employers responded to E-Verify mandates, which target the social dimension of CSR by changing their pollution. E-Verify is a free internet-based program run by the federal government that allows employers to verify whether new hires are legally authorized to work in the country. It is required for federal government agencies and their contractors. At the state level, currently 22 states require some form of E-Verify uses. 9 states has universal E-Verify mandates, which require all employers to use the system, while 13 have public E-Verify mandates, which apply only to public employers and government contractors. The mandate's goal is to reduce the hiring of unauthorized workers. Such reductions are socially responsible, given that employment of unauthorized workers can suppress the employment opportunities and wages of authorized workers and encourage illegal immigration. Additionally, unauthorized workers tend to be underpaid and to work under poorer and more dangerous conditions. By requiring firms to avoid hiring unauthorized workers, E-Verify mandates essentially push business to invest more in workplace safety and labor rights. We find that E-Verify mandates lead to a 6% increase in toxic chemical release at a plant level. The effect is stronger for universal E-Verify mandates than public E-Verify. The effect is more pronounced in states with a higher proportion of unauthorized workers, such as Arizona and Utah. These states likely experience a greater shock to their labor practice due to E-Verify, leading to more pronounced trade-offs. The effect is also stronger in industries with more hazardous jobs such as iron and steel. In these industries, employers may have previously circumvented safety regulation by employing unauthorized workers under unsafe conditions. To improve their safety following the mandate, employers may have directed more resources from environmental efforts. When we look at the CSR scores of planned parent companies, we find no significant change after the E-Verify mandates. This suggests that firms' improvement in labor practice and cutback in environmental efforts left the overall CSR rating largely unchanged. Now, these findings are consistent with our CSR substitution hypothesis. Firms that are forced to invest more in one CSR dimension may respond by investing less in another. This does not mean companies are being unethical or manipulative. Rather, they are trying to manage their finite resources efficiently while maintaining their reputation and compliance. As in all investment decisions, companies optimize their CSR investments. Such optimization leads to CSR substitution. Two recent studies also provide evidence consistent with the CSR substitution hypothesis. In a paper published in the Review of Economic and Statistics in 2019, Matthew Gibson, a professor at Williams College, showed that the Clean Air Act's regulation of air emissions incentivized firms to substitute toward polluting other media like waterways. Professor Gibson called this phenomenon regulation-induced pollution substitution. And in a working paper titled, "Every Emission You Create, Every Dollar You Would Donate, The Effect of Regulation-Induced Pollution on Corporate Philanthropy," by Choi, Park, and Xu 2023, the authors show that when the Clean Air Act forces companies to reduce air pollution, the companies donate less to charity. All these evidence are consistent with the CSR substitution hypothesis. While the idea of CSR substitution has been touched on implicitly or informally in prior research, our work makes a contribution by explicitly and formally defining the concept and providing evidence to support it. This allows the substitution argument to be clearly established among academics, practitioners, and regulators. This CSR substitution idea is particularly important in today's policy environment. Governments around the world are increasingly introducing regulations that require firms to adopt certain CSR practices. However, such mandates will come with hidden costs. If companies are forced to improve in one area, reduce their efforts in other, less visible areas. So when designing these policies, lawmakers should consider whether additional safeguards are needed to prevent backsliding in other CSR areas. For business leaders and investors, the takeaway is clear. CSR should be evaluated as a whole, not as isolated components. A company's true commitment to sustainability can only be understood by looking at the full picture and the trade-off the company makes. Thank you for listening.